Hello, everyone. Just before I go through the game that I played against Stockfish on April the 25th, 2026 this year, I just wanted to talk to you about, the game of chess today. Um, when you look at chess today, it's become cold, rigid, and totally mechanical. Nobody plays their own game anymore, really. Everyone's looking over their shoulder asking, what does Stockfish say? They don't trust their own mind, their own intuition, or their own feelings. They treat a machine like it's some kind of god, Stockfish like it's some kind of god, something they themselves created, and say it's better than me. I know more than me, it knows more than me, So I'm not talking about me as a person, but, using it, the term me in general. But think about that. We built these tools with our own intelligence, then turn around and decided that, we're not smart enough to use it without following its every word. We gave birth to this thing, then bow down to it like it's our master. Chess used to be an art. It was creativity, imagination, style, instinct, emotion, human expression. Now it's just calculation. 30 moves in both sides have played exactly what the computer told them to do. It's like it's robotic, no soul, no spark, just two people copying a program. And the craziest part is it's just a board game, something anyone, a kid, an old person, in a town or a village, anyone, anywhere, can sit down and enjoy. Yet it's turned into $1 billion industry where you're not allowed to think for yourself. If you don't play like the machine, if you don't play like the machine says, you're wrong. Well, I say we've lost something precious. We traded our instincts, our gut feelings, our humanity, just to follow lines of code. But here's the truth: a machine can calculate millions of moves a second, yes, but it has no wisdom, it has no experience, it has no life, it lives in a box. We live in the real world. As humans, we have something it will never have: the ability to feel, the ability to create, the ability to think in ways, um, you know, um, numbers alone can never, you know, you know, I mean, logic is powerful, but logic plus instincts plus emotions plus understanding, that's what makes us human. That's what made us build these machines in the first place. I played this game my way, the way I taught myself, because I'm self-taught. I didn't ask the machine what to do. I used my mind, my intuition, my logic, and my heart, and I beat it. Because no matter how powerful, the tool we build, we are still greater than what we create. So yes, I'm going to take you through my game. Um, I'm going to take you through my game so we can see how I beat Stockfish 18 this year. So the date was April 25th, 2026. The time control 10 minutes rapid. Um, it was Stockfish 18 at maximum strength, 3,500 ELO. Thread level 6. Depth of thinking was 20 seconds. And result, I won. I won by time. So the machine timed out. So yeah, I just want to go through the game with you again. Just to let you know, I am self-taught. I'm unrated. I have no coaching, no titles, no official ranking. I just love the game. I've played the game for over 24 years. My hero was Bobby Fischer. I liked Steinitz as well. I liked Morphy. I went through games of Nimzovich. I thought he was very unusual. A bit restrictive, but I mean, lots of terms like prophylaxis and stuff like that. But Fischer was really my hero. So I just want you to see this game. Just see it. How I won against Stockfish 18. They say the machine was unbeatable, but I actually beat it. So we're gonna go through the moves. I played. I go e4. Stockfish goes e5, and then I go knight to f3, and Stockfish goes knight to c6, defending the e pawn, and then I go bishop b5, immediately attacking the knight, and Stockfish goes knight to f6. I believe they call that the Berlin defense. You know, it's very knight f6. Sorry, it's very strong for black. Immediately, I take the knight on c6. Stockfish takes back with what's it? D times c6. And let me just tell you this, right? That I have my own way of playing, and I knew that when I played this machine, if it came to calculations, I had no chance. I literally had no chance. I knew that swapping trading pieces will be my best bet. You know, because I can never really, I can never out calculate this machine. You know, it's just simply too strong. You know, so I realized the best thing to do was try and survive, take pieces off as soon as possible, because once you settle, this machine will eat you alive. So after that, when Stockfish took the knight at c6, I took the pawn at e5. Yep, it looks like I'm probably supposed to castle. That's what tradition says. You have to castle, build up your pieces first. But I realized against the machine, I had no chance. I had to take pieces as soon as possible. So immediately the queen comes down. What do we have here? We have queen to d4. Queen to d4. He's attacking my pawn and my knight at the same time, and I retreat my knight to f3. And as you'd expect, the queen will take the pawn at e4, and then I block my king with my queen I interpose it to trade off pieces. So we swap pieces there. His queen takes my queen. I take it back with my king, and his knight goes to d5, and immediately I bring my knight out at c3. And listen, guys, you know, I mean, I didn't really care about positional chess or the rules of chess or what you have to do. I realized that the less pieces that were on the board, the better it was for me. The less pieces on the board, the better. Just don't allow Stockfish to get into a rhythm, because I knew that if I got into a rhythm, I'm finished. So I brought my knight to c3, intending to attack the knight at d5, and Stockfish replies with bishop to what's it? Bishop to g4, and immediately I take the knight at d5. Stockfish takes back with c times d5. Immediately I threaten the bishop. So I threaten the bishop with h3, and the bishop retreats to d7. Yes, and then I bring my rook to e1, because I realize that that file is open, but I'm also going to attack the king. So just to gain any advantage at all, whatever I can. And Stockfish goes f6. Stockfish goes to f6, and I move my king to king f1. Sorry, f1. So I've got a discover check. The rook is attacking his king. His king moves to f7, and immediately I move pawn to d3. I'm just looking to develop my bishop, so I could bring my rooks into the play, because I know that rook on a8 is probably going to maneuver towards e8. So I'm ready for it already. I've got my rook at e1. I want to bring my bishop out so I can have, you know, both the bishops protecting each other. Stockfish comes out with what's it? He comes with I believe it was b5. I bring my bishop to d2. Stockfish comes down on the flank with a5, and I go to a3, trying to stop anything from happening at b4. But I'm just, to be honest with you, I was playing survival. I'm just thinking, this thing's trying all these different ways to attack. I just want to trade pieces as much as possible and last as long as I can, really. So this is a3 to stop that b4 pawn coming down. So Stockfish goes c5, and I go to d4, immediately attacking the center. Hopefully we can swap there. and I noticed Stockfish, it goes past it, he goes to c4, he doesn't want to trade there, and I could see all those pawns storming down the queen side, and I'm not really happy with that. But like I said, I was expecting this sort of thing, and I expected him to lose pretty quickly. And then I go to b3, and then Stockfish goes to I go to c3. Was that c3? c3. Stockfish goes to bishop b5, and I swap pieces here. I swap pieces here. I swap with, what's it? bc4, and Stockfish takes with his d pawn to c times c4, and then I push c3, trying to lock down the queen side. So hopefully those pawns on b5 and a5 cannot advance any further. And then he comes down on the king side with g5, and I'm trying to get my knight to d2, so I have to move my bishop to c1. So I've moved my bishop to c1. Stockfish develops his bishop to bishop b6. I move my bishop to b2. Stockfish is coming with a pawn storm h5, and I move my knight. I'm trying to reroute my knight. I move it to Nd2 to d2. Stockfish comes with a check. I get check bishop d3, and I move my king to g1. Yeah, I move my king to safety to g1, and then Stockfish comes with his rook on his on the h file to e8, and then I move my knight to f1, hoping that there was going to be some sort of trade. And for some reason, my clock was still at 6 minutes 12 seconds. Stockfish was on 8 minutes, and I was expecting maybe a trade of the rooks. Maybe nothing happened. So I had 6 minutes on my clock. This is a rapid game. Stockfish had 8 minutes, and yet the clock was ticking, and I was like, what's going on? Is he not going to swap? What's happening? But it's almost like it was caught in a time loop. They call it like the horizon effect. You know, for some reason, it just didn't want to, it wasn't making a move, and it timed out. I mean, so there you have it, guys. The machine timed out. I literally won on time. So I won by technicality. Do you know what I mean? I didn't win by, checkmating Stockfish. I won, because it got itself into this sort of infinite loop where it couldn't really make a move. So so I won this game, and this was in 25 moves. I mean, it's still surreal to me today. I can't really believe it. I'd like us to look at what's it? This game review sheet, the game report, where when you look at it, you can see the moves that we played. Stockfish, we both played book moves. Stockfish played 3 good book moves. So did I. Genius moves, we both had 0. Sharp moves, we both had 0. Best moves, Stockfish played 14. I had 9. Outstanding moves, I actually had more outstanding moves than Stockfish. I played 8, and it played 6. Good moves also, I had better moves for some reason. 4. Stockfish had 1. I played 1 inaccuracy, and when you look at the accuracy, you can see that Stockfish has got, obviously you expect this is playing at its maximum strength, and I wanted to play at its maximum strength. So I mean, mate, here it is before your very eyes. 99.3% accuracy. I had 96.5. So yeah, mate, I wasn't even thinking about these things. I'm sure grandmasters and people like that will probably think, this is they probably use more technical language and stuff like that. But for me, it was all about survival. This game was all about survival, and So now you see the game. You've seen the settings. 3000 ELO. It was full strength, no handicaps. 10-minute game. You've seen the result I won. You've seen the review sheet showing exactly where where the computer just failed to make a move. I mean, it literally timed out. But I mean, mate, what can I say? People say, the makers say, Stockfish 18 cannot be beaten. Stockfish can never be beaten. It's impossible. This must be a glitch. This must be a bug. But imagine if you're playing a human being and a human being fails to make a move within a certain time. Well, he lost on time, and the computer lost to me on time. So yeah, here it is. I put it before the whole world. This is for humanity to show that human intuition and feeling can still overcome the machine that they say can never be beaten. And I beat Stockfish. So yeah, thank you very much.